Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I have 3 items that I would like to share with you today. First, in addition to the changes in the composition of the PNP Command Group and other movements in key positions that we announced yesterday, I would like to introduce and welcome the 4th member of the PNP Command Group in the person of Police Major General Cesar Hawthorne R. Binag, the Acting Chief of the Directorial Staff. Police Major General Binag is erstwhile PNP Director for Information Communication Technology Management, or DICTM, the implementer of the Smart Policing Program, which is the PNP's 6-year digital transformation roadmap. He will serve in full-time capacity in addition to his other inherent and concurrent duties as the Chief of the Directorial Staff. As TCDS, he will supervise and synchronize the functions of the PNP Directorial Staff Offices in support of the operations of the Police Regional Offices and National Support Units. Compared to a corporate structure, the Chief PNP is the President and CEO. The DCA and DCO are the SVPs or CFOs and COOs, respectively, while the TCDS is the General Manager. He will be replaced as DICTM Director by Police Brigadier General Leonardo B. Carlos, whose former post as Highway Patrol Group Director will be filled by Police Brigadier General Eliseo Cruz, former CIDG Deputy Director. Police Regional Office 3, Deputy Regional Director for Operations, Police Colonel Roderick Armamento, is elevated to the position of Acting Deputy Director of CIDG. I am expecting that the Senior Officers Placement and Promotion Board to submit further recommendations for the series of projected reorganization of PNP officials to key positions in different levels of organization in anticipation of the retirement of some senior officers in the coming months. For the second item in our agenda, I have ordered last night the relief of 3 senior officers in Central Visayas for violating my policy on not playing golf during weekdays, namely Police Colonel Dennis Artil, Police Lieutenant Colonel Richard Badang, and Police Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Mayam. I have ordered the reassignment to the Personnel Holding and Accounting Unit at the National Headquarters while undergoing investigation for flagrant violation of a specific directive, an act that constitutes grave misconduct. Strike 1 na si Regional Director PRO 7. All regional and NSU directors are hereby reminded of the existing policy on this prohibition that I issued when I assumed my post as officer in charge. As I have said just 3 days ago, now that I am the Chief PNP, I am vested with greater authority to implement the program of internal cleansing and organizational reform, even with iron fists, if it will be necessary. And finally, I am pleased to announce a major breakthrough in the investigation of the celebrated murders of former Batangas 2nd District Representative Attorney Edgar L. Mendoza, his driver Nicanor Mendoza, and bodyguard Ruel Ruiz, whose charred bodies were found inside a burnt car in Chaong, Quezon last January 9, 2020. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group has filed an information for 3 counts of murder against 6 suspects before the Calamba City Prosecutor's Office. 5 suspects are presently under custody, while another suspect is at large and is now the subject of manhunt operations in coordination with the local PNP units. By our own parameters on crime solution and crime clearance, this case is considered solved and is now elevated to the prosecution arm of the justice system. Director CIDG, soon-to-be Police Major General Joel Napoleon Coronel, will brief us further on the details of this case. Thank you. Questions?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'll give a short briefing. Allow me to give a short briefing on the details pertaining to the investigation and the breakthrough on the case involving the killing of former Congressman Edgar Mendoza. As you are aware of, that last January 9, 2020, at about 12 past 10 minutes midnight of the same date, the charred remains of former Congressman Mendoza, together with his driver, Nicanor Mendoza, and his aide, Ruel Ruiz, were found inside the Honda Civic car owned by Congressman Mendoza along the San Francisco Bridge in Chaong, Quezon. Because of this information, follow-up operations were conducted by the CIDG and Police Regional Office 4 Calabarzon in coordination with the NBI to determine the perpetrators of this heinous crime. We were able to find out that the day prior, January 8, 2020, Attorney Mendoza was supposed to have a meeting with representatives of his clients in Calamba, Laguna. We were able to trace his itinerary and agenda coming from his residence in Batangas City, Lipa. He went to Calamba City to meet with some people, and based also on the information provided by relatives of the family, he was supposed to meet with these people pertaining to cases he was handling then as a practicing lawyer involving transactions concerning money and real property. Based on the information we have gathered and statements of witnesses, the victim was ordered killed upon the instructions of principal suspect Sherwin Sanchez Putsalan, who is presently detained at the National Bilibid Prison. In coordination, in conspiracy with another detainee in the National Bilibid Prison, Mr. Arthur Fajardo, who is a member of the Fajardo Kidnap for Ransom group who has been detained since 2005. The perpetrators of their act were the cohorts of the said two persons, Ms. Jael Fajardo, who is now presently in custody, Ms. Catherine Fernandez, Ms. Madonna Palomar, also in custody, Mr. Carlo Acuna, also in custody, Mr. Erickson Balbastro, who was personally involved in the killing, the burning, and the transporting of the remains of victim Mendoza and his companions, Quezon, now in custody. And another suspect, Rodel Marcado, who is presently at large and subject of manhunt operations. Based on the leads gathered by CIDG from follow-up interviews of witnesses, review and examination of CCTV footages, and also forensic evidence gathered from cell phone of the relatives and also from the transmission of the cell phones, victim cell phones, we were able to locate and trace his itinerary, and in the process identify the suspects. And because of this series of arrests, operations were conducted and arrests have been made. So please allow me to present the suspects in the case. So a case for murder, 3 counts, had been referred already to the Department of Justice, and I understand that this case will be elevated to the National Prosecution Service Office in Padre Fauna for their final review and evaluation. So at present, all these 5 suspects will remain in custody and detention with the CIDG, and follow-up operations are being conducted against the other suspect, Rodel Mercado, and 2 other cohorts whom we would like to identify at this time.
Okay,
Questions?
okay,
Yes,
Leia,
ma'am.
please. Leia.
Morning, ma'am.
Sir, ano ang motive ng mga suspect? Bakit nila pinatay si
Yes, sir.
Exolon?
Yes, sir. Former Congressman Mendoza, as a practicing lawyer, the services of which were engaged by Mr. Sherwin Sanchez, the principal suspect, in a series of transactions involving sums of money and real property. Apparently, on the day Congressman Mendoza disappeared and later on found dead, he was supposed to collect a sum of money from representatives of the principal suspect in Calamba City. I understand there was a disagreement on the amount to be collected, and also based on the revelations made by the witnesses and some of the suspects themselves in the confession, there was really no intention on the part of the suspects to pay the amount agreed by them. So instead of paying the amount amounting to millions of pesos, they just contracted hired gun, they contracted killers for the killing of Congressman Mendoza for the sum of 100,000 pesos.
Sir, sino yung mastermind nung?
Based on the information, it's pakita nung ano, yung matrix. The mastermind is Mr. Sherwin Sanchez, who is presently detained in National Bilibid Prison, a client of Attorney Mendoza, together acting conspiracy with another detainee, Arthur Fajardo. Sherwin Sanchez asked his fellow detainee, Arthur Fajardo, for persons who can be hired to carry out the killing of the victim, Attorney Mendoza.
Sir, anong kaso ni Sherwin Sanchez? Bakit
Sherwin
siya-
Sanchez is convicted of crime of murder way back 2015, so he's presently detained in National Bilibid Prison.
Sir, ang lawyer niya dun ba sa murder charges niya is si former congressman at dahil ba naipatalo yung kaso ba dahil doon kaya nagalit siya at hindi ayaw niya ng bayaran?
With regard to that, it's part of the investigation. The family invoked attorney-client privilege information, so they cannot disclose the details of the relationship between Attorney Mendoza and the suspect. But I understand that the services of Attorney Mendoza was hired by these two for several transactions. And yes, it appears that Attorney Mendoza is a lawyer for the principal suspect, Sherwin Sanchez.
How about sir, para naman napasok si Arthur Fajardo?
Okay, Arthur Fajardo is a fellow detainee of Sherwin Sanchez in the National Bilibid Prison and also engaged in several transactions with Attorney Mendoza. It was Attorney Fajardo who procured the services of the contract killers to carry out the killing of Attorney Mendoza.
Sorry sir, clarification. Si Fajardo kinontak niya yung wife niya
Yes.
to contact the gunman.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, sino dyan yung umamin na kahapon sinabi niyo na sumaksak at
Yes, sir.
sumunog mismo doon
Mr.
sa...
Erickson Balbastro was the one seen on the CCTV driving the car of Congressman Mendoza from Calamba City going to the Chaong Bridge. That could be shown later. And followed in a motorcycle by the other suspect, Mr. Rodel Mercado. So, based on the revelations made by Mr. Balbastro, he admitted that initially, Congressman Mendoza with two companions, upon arriving at the house of Ms. Jael Fajardo, were drugged by the victims. They were given coffee with sleeping pills. Apparently, after the effects of the drug has worn off, they were stabbed and at the process also struck by a hard object in the heads, causing their death.
Sir, ibig sabihin, dinala sila sa Chaong, patay na sila o dun sila pinatay?
Yes, patay na po at the time na we were brought to Chaong and the remains were burned. Yes, ma'am.
Doon sa investigation, meron bang ibang cases? Kasi ang banggit nyo is hard killers itong mga ito. Were
Yes.
they involved in previous cases before the Mendoza killing,
Yes, sir. I understand Mr. Carlo Acuña, Mr. Erickson Balbastro, and Rodel Mercado had previous criminal cases and were previously detained in the Batangas Provincial Jail prior to the killing and were already released either on bail or the case had been provisionally dismissed.
Sir, nakuha ba nila yung 100,000 na payment?
Based on the revelation, a down payment has been made 10,000 pesos and the balance of which is yet to be paid or recovered from the principal.
Pero sir, ano ba yun? Paano yun? Naging kung ang target lang ay si Congressman, ay nadama yung dalawa.
Apparently, the other victims were collateral damage because of they were companions of Congressman Mendoza at that time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, ito pa sir, si Jael, surrender sa ICC.
During the manhunt operations, she approached one of the PNP officers assigned in the PRO 4 and through his mediation, she presented herself to the safety in Fernandez. Because we were able to trace through CCTV and testimonies of witnesses that Congressman Mendoza was supposed to meet with a client in Calamba City. And based on that information, we went to Villa Prinsa subdivision in Calamba City. And upon verification with that, we confirmed with the security vehicle of Congressman Mendoza and even the driver's ID of the driver, Nicanor Mendoza, were presented to the security guard exerted by the PNP and Calabarzon PRO4A. She surrendered to one of her officers na kilala niya who brought us to our custody. After. Ang unang nahuli si Christine, followed by Madonna Palermo. Madonna Palermo was the one who served the drinks with the sleeping concoction. And then Carlos Acuña was the one who picked up Balbastro and Mercado from their hideout somewhere in Calamba City and brought them to the place. And it was Balbastro and Mercado who committed the direct act of killing the victims and bringing them first to San Juan, Batangas, then later on leaving them in Chaong where they burned the vehicle.
Sir, January 8, patay na sila.
I understand based on the testimonies and follow-up, around afternoon of January 8, wala na po. Hindi na, patay na po yung victims. So with that, thank you very much po, ma'am. We'll just give the other details to our PIO so you can be able to. Thank you po.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Further questions? For CPNP. Okay.
PNP pala.
For CPNP.
Pwede rin. Kung tingin nyo sa akin, OIC, okay lang. OIC. Yes.
At tagal ng OIC.
Okay. Question? Layan.
Sir, may one strike na si RD at ang patakaran ng PNP paano po? RD ng Central Visayas. Sir, yung Central Visayas, meron ng one strike doon meron siyang 1 point doon sa pinatutupad ng PNP para ma-relieve ang isang official, sir.
Wala akong sinasabing no? Basta sabi ko lang.
One strike. Sir, yun nga, ano ang patakaran ng PNP? Pag RD, ilang strike ba dapat? Ang PD, ilang strike?
Hindi ako mag-set ng parameters so that everybody will be on their toes. No? Not necessarily na kailangan mag-strike one ka pa bago kita i-relieve. No? Humane yun actually.
Sir, yung yung tatlong nahuli na Google, first time pa lang nilang ginawa.
First time, meaning to say, one
Isang
time
beses,
na
one
no.
time.
They were playing there Tuesdays and Thursdays. At kung bored sila, they play on Wednesday. That's why I have enough basis why they should be relieved. But of course, under due process, they will still be investigated. And ang problema, yung dalawa are lieutenant colonels occupying full colonel position for promotion. And it might affect their promotion.
Sir, anong mga specific assignment nila sa Central Visayas?
Okay. Hindi ko sana nilagay, pero tinanong nyo eh. Okay. One is the regional controller. The other one is the chief of the finance service. And the other one is the head of PDEG in Region 7.
Sir, classmates?
I think two are classmates. Not very familiar.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, definite yun. Di ba? Sabi ko, no on weekdays. Wait for weekends or holidays. No, weekends or holidays. Actually, pinapayagan ko naman silang mag-driving range, no? After office hours. Kasi sabi nila, unfair ako dahil nagbabadminton ako after office hours. So sabi ko, okay, pero driving range kayo. And of course, only a few golf courses have, I think, may mga ilaw so that you can play during nighttime. And it's not restricted.
Yung paglalaro nila, office hours.
I'm not definite. Basta ang sabi ko kasi bawal ang weekdays eh. So, even if they start at 5:30 up to 7:30 or 7:45, it's still weekdays. Ang sa atin kasi dito, di ba? Kaya ang pinapayagan ko yung after office hours. No? After office hours, not before. Because we're expected all to be in our offices at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Next question.
Sir, sorry,
Raymond.
it may not be directly related to the operations of the PNP, but Senator Bato de la Rosa confirmed na kinancel na ho yung kanyang US visa by the US government. Meron bang feeling of, or siguro ganito na lang sir, was there any other officer from the PNP with the same situation now of Senator Bato, sir?
Not that I know. And my visa is still valid, I think.
And meron bang concern sa inyo regarding this incident? Meron ba tayong...
Well, ako, I cannot give any comment no because I really don't know the reason for cancellation. And I think the good senator will still also clarify kung ano yung dahilan for the revocation. That's why I cannot comment on. And ako naman, I see it as a, for now, as personal upon him. So maybe you can ask the good senator.
Okay. Next question. Sige, please.
Glenn, sir, DCWB. Sir, may role na ba ang Philippine National Police dun sa campaign ngayon ng DOH dun sa coronavirus? I mean, like, parang may pinapalocate na po yata ang PNP.
Yes, ang ano naman namin is meron talagang Department of Prime Responsibility, no, which is the DOH. Ang role naman palagi ng PNP is to cause, yun, maghanap, no, kasi we're all throughout the Philippines. And kung hihingin ng DOH yung tulong namin, or any other government agencies for that matter, we are obliged to assist.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
And-
yung
okay,
reshuffle.
Lea,
Sir, yung reshuffle na in-announce kahapon, yun pa lang po ba yung unang bugso doon sa mga doon sa mga plano, sir, bago nung nag-command cons kayo at yung mga RDI to follow, sir?
Hindi, ang first na reshuffle is by reason of retirement of senior
yes, sir.
officers. Now, the evaluation has already been submitted to me, no? Yung sinasabi kong 3 months. And generally, lahat naman pasado, kung ang basihan natin is 75. No? So, siguro what I will do is that I will evaluate and then siguro later or in the succeeding months, itaas natin konti yung passing rate, no? So that everybody will exert effort para taasan nila yung grado nila. Kasi mahirap naman na tanggalin natin sila tapos hindi naman sila bagsak, no? Kasi they are performing in accordance to the standards we've set, no? But it's a very complicated rating system, no? Far before what we were doing, no? At inaayos namin ito at continuing, no? We're also taking consideration kasi maraming mga ibang units na nagrereklamo na, sir, ang duty namin is peculiar for this. Or ang region ko is peculiar for this. So don't compare me with other regions na wala naman ito sa kanila. Rate me here where I am peculiar. So we're doing that. No? Continuing pa rin. And we still request our regional directors, national support units to continuously give us input, no, para ma-improve natin yung rating system. Kasi once na institutionalized na yan, it will now be a very good tool for the Chief PNP to decide, no, kung sino ba dapat ang tanggalin, no, how do we raise our standards, how are we supposed to, kasi maganda yung maganda yung periodic evaluation so that they would also know where to improve.
Okay. Next
Sir,
question.
yung resulta po ng evaluation, hindi pa ngayong January magkakaroon.
No,
ng
yung
reshuffle.
January 20, yung sinabi kong 3
Yes,
months,
sir. Opo.
yun yung sinasabi ko na lahat sila pasado. Parang ang pinakamababa ata is 75.13 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Ann Soberano.
Tanong ko lang, sir. Sir, Ann Soberano, Bombo Radio Philippines. Sir, ngayong araw, yung pull out ng mga pulis sa danger zone sa Batangas, sir, sa Taal. Sir, ano ang magiging deployment nila? Would it be on...
We will keep on rotating our personnel. No? That's why we're utilizing also our reserve force in the national headquarters. Kasi nga, mga 3 to 4 days lang, exhausted na rin sila. So, parang fresh blood, pasukan natin ng mga bagong, no? And siyempre, irregular yung kain doon. Baka hindi rin sila nakakaligo, pero hindi naman Pero as I have stressed, yung Region Calabarzon is the overseer of all of the operations, no?
Yes.
Ang sa amin lang is kung may kailangan sila, no? Saka sila hingi sa amin. And constantly sitting in the subcommittee for this disaster is General Durana, who is the Director for Police Community Relation. So ang ginagawa niya sa akin is just to update on deployment, what are the new factors that I need to decide, no, on the part as. Pero binigyan ko na sila ng leeway. No, sabi ko as the sub-task group on natural disaster, then you decide. If you need money, you coordinate with the controller. If you need personnel, you coordinate with the Director for Personnel Records Management.
Okay,
Sir,
next.
Sir, may report na ba sa inyo, sir, na may mga pulis na nagkasakit doon sa may danger zone, sir?
Meron siguro pero mga minor lang, hindi naman na grabe.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next. Okay.
Hi, sir. Good morning po. Ana from GMA News Online. Sir, as a lawyer, hingin ko lang po yung reaction nyo sa call ni Senator Gordon na i-reopen yung probe sa Mama Sapano incident following the acquittal of Sir Napeñas and Sir Purisima.
Well, the PNP will always participate on any inquiry test on what to do. Ang sa amin lang naman, if they want us to bring records, or they want us to clarify on the current policies of the PNP or previous policies of the PNP, and if they will invite me as a resource person, I would always be, of course, I'm obliged to appear
Thank
and
you, Ann.
participate.
Thank you, Ann. Next.
Just to follow up lang po dun sa Taal, the reason, Mark Salazar po pala sa GMA7, the reason given was for the PNP's own safety, kaya pinull out sila outside of the 14-kilometer radius. Paano po kaya ipapatupad yung mga lockdown sa mga danger zones kung halimbawa wala na sila doon sa mga checkpoint within 14-kilometer radius? Ano po yung mga instructions nyo para matuloy pa rin yung mga lockdown?
Okay, ito naman is, of course, iniisip din namin yung welfare ng aming tao, no? But, if public interest so require, and we have to risk our lives for that, it's public service. Part of what we are paid for. Lalo na mataas na ang sweldo.
Thank you.
They will sustain the checkpoint?
Yes, if need be, if required by the disaster coordinating committee, we are obliged to do that.
Thank you, Mark. Glenn?
Follow up lang. Sir, may totoo ba yung mga reports na para bagang hinaluan na rin ng ilang militanteng miyembro ng militanteng grupo, sir, yung ilang evacuees, kaya patuloy nilang nire-resist lahat ng orders ng police, parang gano'n, and nakikipagtalo sila madalas, lalo na kapag yung about window hours. Please, sir. Thank you.
We cannot validate or we cannot confirm that yet, no? But we will take in consideration your comment.
Yeah.
Because probably there's a possibility, but we don't have yet proper holdings for that, for us to conclude that indeed it's happening.
Thank you, Glenn. Last question? Last question? Okay. Nothing
Thank
more?
you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.